Good morning, builders. My name is Ryan Green, and I am delighted to serve as your host for Snowflake Build 2022. We figured there was no better way to highlight the sheer awesome power of building than a global event where the community of engineers, developers, data scientists, and architects can participate together. Let's spend the next 2 days blocking out all the distractions and see what we can come up with. Build is where the developers and data intersect. Roll up your sleeves and discover how to build apps, data pipelines, machine learning workflows, and more with Snowflake. Our product and engineering teams have been busy developing new features for the Data Cloud, and we're going to dive deep and show you how to build with them. So get comfortable, we have a lot to cover. In addition to this 2-day virtual event, we have in-person Build Local meetups happening across the globe starting today. So hop into an event in your city to hang out with your peers, enjoy the food, and have some fun. We have an action-packed agenda, and I am delighted to introduce our first speakers. Please give a warm San Mateo welcome to Snowflake's co-founder and president of product, Benoit Dageville, and Snowflake principal engineer, Polita Paulus.
Hi, Ryan.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Benoit. You know, I've spent my career building things for developers, and so I'm really excited to be here today talking about Snowflake builders and what we're building for them. And I'm really happy to be here with our first Snowflake builder, Benoit. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Polita, and it's so good to see you. So exciting.
Benoit, over the years, you and I have gotten to build lots of things together at Snowflake, over many lines of code, over many cups of coffee. You clearly love to create things.
Yeah, probably too much coffee, I would say, but apart from that, yeah, that's absolutely true. And I have to confess that I'm a developer at heart, so obviously very, very excited to be here today. And Build is really our space to connect with people who share our drive to create amazing things and get inspired by what is possible. And stay tuned in, I would say, because there is always something new to learn and something new to build.
Lately, we've been talking a lot about Snowflake disrupting app development. Why are we so focused on apps?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say from day one, right, Snowflake was all about democratizing access to data. And if you think about it, applications are really the ultimate way to fulfill that vision, because these applications make data accessible and actionable to really everyone. And this is why we are focusing so much on applications. And I would say one last thing is really our mission now is to make the Snowflake Data Cloud the best place to build, run, and distribute, and even monetize these data applications.
So is every app becoming a data app?
Yeah, I would say yes, absolutely. And you know, any modern app, I would say, should be a data application with really data at its core. And data apps should also use ML extensively, leveraging models trained with data. A payment application is a good example of a data app. Customer can ask to analyze their spend over a long, really long period of time and compare that spend with other similar users, and also potentially using ML to optimize and forecast that spend. And the last point I'd like to make is really that application should be everywhere. For example, if you think about it, an enterprise with tons of data should make that data accessible to employees through internal apps, such that these employees can make better decisions and potentially execute faster. And actually at Snowflake, we are already seeing that happen. Like, for example, the fact that you have over 1.5 million data apps which have been built by Python practitioners using Streamlit.
Wow, 1.5 million Streamlit apps? That's amazing. What is driving that momentum?
Yeah, it's really amazing. And I think it's really a testament to the hunger that companies have to build apps to really mobilize their data. And it shows that on our side, we need to make that process of building powerful apps as seamless as possible. And Streamlit is really great at this. With Streamlit, for example, data scientists and data engineers can themselves convert their ML models into data apps and share these data apps really easily. And that's really powerful. That because it means that data and insights get into the hands of decision makers way faster.
And when you combine the power of Streamlit open source library with the performance and security of the Snowflake platform, you get the best of all worlds.
Exactly. And Adrian Troy, the head of Streamlit at Snowflake, will have a lot more to say about this tomorrow in his build keynote. But Streamlit is really only one part of our really comprehensive strategies for apps.
So you said that our mission is to make the Snowflake Data Cloud the best place to build, run, distribute, and monetize apps. Can you break it down for me? Okay, let's say I'm an app developer. How will Snowflake help me? And let's start with the build phase.
Yeah, so on the build, I would say our goal is to make it really fast, easy, and even fun to build really powerful data applications. And we do so, I would say, first by providing a single integrated platform, offering really all the capabilities that these applications need from their data layer all the way to their UI. And data is really, it starts with data, which is really at the core of this data application. So I would say our number one focus is really to ensure that all apps can access and process all data they need. And that includes, first, any type of data, whether it's structured data, semi-structured data, or unstructured data. We are talking about, images, files, any type of file, documents, right? Second, data from any location, really internal or external data, or even data source, high-value data sets, which can be sourced from our marketplace. And third, data of any format, internal or even open table format like Iceberg.
Makes sense, since data is the most important asset for these apps. But there's more to it though, right?
Yes, I would say you are right. The Snowflake platform provides a broad range of capabilities to power all aspects of this data app. For example, Unistore to efficiently manage the state of these apps, or Snowpipe and dynamic tables for real-time data pipelines. And with Snowpark, you can even run Java, Scala, or even Python directly inside the data cloud. And with Streamlit, you can even go the last mile, as I said, by building highly interactive and really beautiful apps.
These are huge advancements. So now let's talk about run. How is Snowflake going to help me run my application?
Yeah, I would say it starts first by Snowflake being a completely self-managed platform, which ensures that your app will run with minimum oversight. For example, Snowflake's suite of services manages the infrastructure, the security, the physical design of data, workloads, query tuning, availability, just to name few things that you really no longer need to worry about when your app is running. And also, thanks to its multi-cluster shared data architecture, Snowflake can scale and power your largest client-facing applications or even full cloud services. And this instant elasticity, whether it's up or down, with its associated usage-based pricing model, really lowers the cost of running your applications, since really that cost is only proportional to the resources this application consumes. And basically, with Snowflake, I would say extreme simplicity, it means that you can focus on iterating and improving your app, while Snowflake takes care of running it and even scaling it.
Okay, so now that I can run my app, I need to get it into my customers' hands. Can Snowflake help me distribute it?
Of course, and that's the part of our global architecture, right? Our global architecture, it really makes Snowflake a single distributed cloud platform spanning multiple geographical regions and even clouds. And this means that Snowflake is probably already where your customers are. And this global reach really takes out all the worry about the distribution aspect. And as of today, for example, our data cloud span more than 30 cloud regions, all on top of the 3 major cloud providers. But really what is important to realize is that regardless of the underlying cloud provider, Snowflake delivers a unified global experience that makes your application truly cloud agnostic. And this aspect, I really want to stress out that this aspect is critical since data, application, and customers might exist across multiple regions and clouds.
Yeah, so distribution, sounds like it's taken care of. Here's my big question. Benoit, can I make money off my app?
Oh, now you are getting greedy, Polita. But yes, absolutely. Publishing, I would say publishing and monetizing your app is enabled by native application and the Snowflake marketplace. With Snowflake native application, which are in private preview right now, you can list your app on the marketplace for any customers of the data cloud to discover. And you can leverage Snowflake's built-in monetization and telemetry capabilities, so you don't need to spend time stitching together payments and billing infrastructure. And this is really a big deal, right? Okay. Because especially when you are selling to your app to enterprises or companies with sensitive data. And you are also able to track their usage, the usage of your application. And that's really opened up so many new possibilities to build not just an app, but full businesses.
Speaking of new possibilities, I'd like to dive into native apps a little bit more. What's your vision for native apps?
I would say with native apps, we really want to do what the iPhone did for consumer apps. And if you think about it, the iPhone revolutionized how people get and use consumer apps. And native app is really going to transform data app dev by doing really the same thing with our marketplace becoming the App Store equivalent for these data apps. And in short, Snowflake is building the go-to platform for data apps. This is really the vision.
That sounds really great. Let's get a little more concrete. What's different about a native app?
Yeah, that's a great question. So native apps, first of all, are a new, Snowflake class of apps defined by Snowflake. And you can build this application by composing, Snowflake's first-class primitives like tasks and streams, store procedure in Python and Java to encapsulate all the business logic of these apps and even potentially leverage external function. But the most important aspect is that this application package that you create can also contain live data and any derived artifacts like ML models. And in the future, of course, you can package also Streamlit apps to really power the UI of these native apps. And as I mentioned, you can then place these apps on the marketplace for everyone to discover. So you can reach really any customer on the data cloud. And one last key point is that native apps, when they run, they are installed in your consumer, Snowflake accounts. So native apps are fully, running on their premise, so to speak.
That sounds really powerful, Benoit.
Yes, it is. And that model has really many advantages. So first, customers' data never needs to be moved, copied, or even shared with the application provider, right? That protects, the consumer. Second, on the provider side, as a builder, your IP, like your code, your data, your ML models that you package, really stay protected. It's basically, you as a provider decide what is exposed to your users, and the rest is completely private, right? Protected by Snowflake. And third, you take advantage of the entire Snowflake platform, its global collaboration capabilities, advanced governance, security, and anything else.
Sounds like a win for developers and customers. Tell me how we're using this in the real world.
Yeah, that's a great example. I mean, let me give you an example, for example, with Goldman Sachs. Okay, they build a native app that does ESG enrichment to help their clients make better investment decisions. And before native apps, these clients, which were institutional investors, would have to spend significant amount of time figuring out how to switch their data with ESG data from Goldman, right? So complicated. With native app, what Goldman did is that they can now package together ESG data, that's the live data aspect, with also the logic needed to transform, match, and enrich these clients' data. And then clients of Goldman can install the Goldman ESG app directly from the Snowflake marketplace in their accounts. And they don't need to do any data engineering or even give Goldman direct access to their holdings data, which is really sensitive. And instead, the app comes with the data while keeping Goldman's IP, which is also important, and the data in these apps and the logic really protected. So both parties are protected. Another example is Samuha, which is a startup which provides native application for clean room. And this is an entirely new app and business built, in the data cloud, and which would really not exist without the data cloud. And I'm really especially excited to see new startups really founding their companies around native apps.
That's really cool to see what people are doing with native apps. I can't wait to see what else they build.
Me too, trust me.
Benoit, when you talked about Snowflake building apps, you mentioned Iceberg. Let's talk a little bit more about Iceberg.
Polita, I mean, really coming from you, this is a funny question. And Iceberg, is your forte since you are the lead engineer for our Iceberg efforts. And you, I think, even have a session tomorrow about, Iceberg. So I would turn the table and say, ask you, what is the big deal about Iceberg Tables?
Oh, I'm really excited about Iceberg Tables. So more and more organizations need to integrate their data from different data sources. And oftentimes that data comes from open source table formats. So what Iceberg Tables does is it really brings together the power of Snowflake and the open source attributes of Apache Iceberg and Apache Parquet and brings the power together into one product. And so companies can use Iceberg to integrate with the data and pipelines that they already have without having to move their data, which is really cool. Yeah. And of course we have external table support for Iceberg, but we're going so much farther than that. With Iceberg Tables, we're really bringing the power of Snowflake native tables to the open source Iceberg table format, which means you get things like Snowflake's lightning fast performance, governance, and multi-table transactions. Iceberg Tables are in private preview, and we've already gotten some really great feedback from our customers. We're using that feedback, integrating it, and building new features all the time.
This is amazing. I really love it. And it shows really that wherever your data comes from, Snowflake can really help you gain insights from it. All data, right?
Exactly. But, Iceberg was just one of the things you mentioned. You also mentioned Unistore. Bringing together transactional and analytical data, it's kind of revolutionary, isn't it?
It is, yes, it is. And the reason why it is because transactional data requires very efficient point reads and writes at a really high level of concurrency. And supporting this new access pattern really requires you to store the data in a very different way than analytical data. Also, transactional data needs to be available also for analytics, right? It's not only transactional. And this generally involves some painful ETL process to move this data out from this transactional store to the analytical store. And that adds a lot of complexity and delay also to analyze this data. And Unistore, I would say, solve both issues. First, by making it possible to store and manage transactional data directly in Snowflake. This is a big deal, right? And second, will enable seamlessly enabling analytics directly on that transactional data, really removing the need to ETL that data first before analyzing it. And this way, I would say developers don't have to maintain multiple databases, shard them to scale and connect everything together. So that's
really
Unistore.
Awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. Finally, you talked about Snowpark. What makes Snowpark so powerful?
Yeah, I mean, really Snowpark, I would say, opens up data programmability and extensibility by letting developers work in their language of choice, whether it's Python, Java or Scala. And that's really a huge advantage in efficiency, but also it makes developers' life easier because they program in the language of their choice. And also, Snowpark brings deeply integrated data frame style programming and functions to help you expand, more use cases really easily. So the other aspect of Snowpark, which is key, is that you can also leverage powerful libraries to unlock more use cases. For example, using scikit-learn and TensorFlow for machine learning, NumPy and Pandas for data engineering and data science. And of course, Snowpark brings you data processing where your data is already. Hence, I would say Snowpark gives you full programmability of data paired with high efficiency, strong governance, and security.
Can you give us a little sneak peek now at what's ahead for Snowflake builders?
Polita, unfortunately, I cannot say too much about that, but I can give you, big, directions. So first, a big focus for Snowflake is to make, making developers' life, easier. And for example, more ways to share code across teams, quickly, really easily. Also, super critical is streamlining the CI/CD pipelines to deliver code changes much more frequently and reliably. And finally, I would say more languages, more integration, huge focus also on ML and the capability of ML. So just to summarize, and I would say to everyone, this is just the beginning, and stay tuned.
Benoit, this has been really fun. I have just one more question for you.
It's going to be a hard one.
No, this one's easy. Can you teach me to say snowflake in French?
That's easy. So it's flocon de neige.
Flocon de neige.
Yeah, you're super good at it.
Okay.
You should,
Flocon de neige. I'm going to keep practicing. Yeah. Thanks so much, Benoit.
Yeah, thank you, Polita, and have a great build.
You too.
So you all enjoy that chat, and it was at least really fun for me. We covered a lot about our technology, but that's just one part of what Snowflake has to offer. We have also great programs that support builders because we want you to have all the tools that you need to succeed. And this really includes the Powered by Snowflake program, created especially to help you build, market, and operate your applications. We have also seen impressive things from startups building on Snowflake. And that's one of the reasons why we created the Snowflake Startup Challenge. And this year, we have some exciting news. I am very happy to announce that we are working with the New York Stock Exchange to take the 2023 competition to its next level. Lynn Martin is president of the NYSE group, and she will be joining the Startup Challenge judging panel. We are also going to sweeten the prize pool. To tell you more, I would like to welcome Mark, Chief Information Officer of ICE, the parent company of the NYSE. Take it away, Mark.
Thank you, Benoit. Intercontinental Exchange, or ICE as we're known, and the New York Stock Exchange are excited to partner with Snowflake for the 2023 Startup Challenge. ICE was founded in 2000 with a single idea: use technology to bring transparency to the financial markets. I had the privilege of being part of that startup and helping ICE grow into a $60 billion fintech company that operates exchanges, including the NYSE. ICE is a great example of how a big idea can turn into a global enterprise. And I know there are entrepreneurs watching today, now, with innovative ideas that will build the next ICE or Snowflake. Of course, it's not just the idea that determines success. Entrepreneurs need sound advice and exposure. So the New York Stock Exchange will connect the top 3 Startup Challenge finalists to executive mentors from NYSE-listed companies for one-on-one advisory sessions. In addition, the top 3 finalists will be invited to New York City to ring the bell from the podium above the NYSE trading floor. I'd like to personally thank the Snowflake team for working with ICE and NYSE to create this amazing opportunity, and I wish all of the entrepreneurs best of luck in the 2023 Startup Challenge.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks a lot. And as you know, there is always a snowboard, involved with Snowflake. So here it is.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Benoit.
Thank you.
Thanks, Polita. Whoa, talk about taking the Startup Challenge to the next level. Snowflake and NYSE combining forces. We are off to an incredible start, and now it's your turn to choose your path. Pick a session, but if you want to jump into the other session that's running in parallel, no problem. Simply click on the agenda. Throughout Build, you will have the opportunity to select the talks, demos, or ask the expert sessions that work best for you. We'll see you on the other side.
Why do you build?
I like to build because I like surprising myself with what I'm capable of.
I love to problem solve. I love a challenge.
And it's especially a lot more fun than not building.
I like solving problems with data.
Because I want to support our open source communities.
And achieve more with the data cloud.
I build because I enjoy creating things that last.
And the world needs better products.
Because I'm passionate about using cutting-edge technology to drive positive outcomes for society as a whole.
Being a builder is what makes it happen.
What most of the world consumes, builders create. Only they can see the connection between the random and the possible. They are app developers, data scientists, founders, product managers, engineers, architects. They're on a mission to build.